Hi everyone, I'm Wendy, and today I'm showing you how to make a whole food plant-based creamy breakfast casserole. Typically, breakfast casserole includes some kind of potatoes, lots of eggs and cheese, and usually some sausage. So that's loosely the inspiration for this recipe. As always, the written recipe will be linked in the details below the video, and now let me show you how to make it. For the potatoes, I'll be using frozen shredded hash brown potatoes. Instead of eggs and cheese, I'm making a creamy sauce out of sweet potatoes and white beans. And instead of sausage, I know this is going to sound strange, but hear me out, I'm using millet. And let's start there. Let me show you how I prepped it. If you've never used millet before, it's a delicious gluten-free whole grain, and when it's cooked and then cooled, it tends to clump together and actually crumbles into a texture similar to ground meat, which is what gave me the idea to try this as a substitute. So I took 1 cup of dried millet, which I rinsed well before adding to my 3-quart Instant Pot. Then I added a tablespoon of tomato paste and some of the typical spices that are found in breakfast sausage. I've got granulated onion and garlic, a little bit of date sugar, smoked paprika, Italian seasoning, sage, black pepper, fennel, and red pepper flakes that I pulsed a few times in a spice grinder, or you could crush it with a mortar and pestle. Of course, sausage is also typically extremely salty. I tend to cook without a lot of added salt, so I'm not adding any, but you could feel free to add whatever your favorite form of salt or salt substitute is, such as a little bit of soy sauce or tamari, maybe some miso paste, or simply some regular salt to taste. Finally, I added 1 3/4 cup of water, and I've stirred to mix everything around, put the lid on, and I'll cook that for 10 minutes at high pressure. Once it's done cooking, I let the pressure naturally release and then transfer it to a storage container. Then I stored it in the fridge overnight so it's ready to go today. You don't have to make this a day ahead, but as I mentioned before, when you cool the cooked millet, it clumps together a little bit. So you'll see when I put the casserole together how it crumbles sort of like a ground meat. But whether you make the millet the day ahead or the day of, it'll still taste good either way. Next, we need to prep the sauce. I like to use a high-speed blender to get the most velvety smooth sauce. If you don't have that, a food processor would be the next best thing. In a regular blender, you may just have to blend a little bit longer. So to my blender, I'm adding some cooked sweet potatoes, a couple cans of white beans, stone ground or Dijon mustard, apple cider vinegar, granulated onion and garlic, smoked paprika, turmeric, black pepper, your favorite salt substitute or a little bit of salt to taste, and finally some nutritional yeast. I'll use water to blend this until it's nice and smooth. Then once that's blended, we're all ready to assemble the casserole. If you wanted, you could throw everything directly into your casserole dish and mix it there, but I'd rather get another dish dirty and use a large mixing bowl to make the mixing easier. So I'm simply adding the hash brown potatoes into the bowl along with the millet, and I'll reserve some of that to add on top of the casserole. Then, for a little bit of color, I'm also adding 1 chopped red bell pepper, and finally, I'm adding the sauce and stirring to evenly coat everything. I also saved just a little bit of the sauce to put on top of the casserole. Then this mixture is going into a 9 by 13 inch glass casserole dish. If you want an extra easy cleanup, you can add parchment paper to this first, but I don't do that. Soaking the pan makes it easy enough to clean. Spread the mixture out evenly and add the rest of the cheesy sauce in a thin layer on top. And then sprinkle on the remaining millet and cover this with foil. If you want to ensure that the foil doesn't touch your food, you can also put a layer of parchment on top before covering with the foil. Bake this covered in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven until the potatoes are fully cooked through, or about 50 to 60 minutes. Then uncover it and continue cooking 10 to 20 minutes until the sauce on top is mostly dry and starting to brown on the edges. At this point, the casserole is ready to serve. I've always been a fan of breakfast food any time of day, so this would be perfect for breakfast, to take to a brunch potluck, or my personal favorite, breakfast for dinner. And this is one of those recipes that's good the first day you make it, but even better on the next day. So if you are taking it to a family gathering or potluck, feel free to make it the day ahead. Hope you enjoyed this recipe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.